The Politics podcast is brought to you by viewers like you. Yeah. Head on over to Patreon. Oh, man, this is already so professional. Patreon.com/JURY. That's where you can support the show. It's a great time for everybody. You know, you just kick in whatever you want. Not only do you get this show, but you also get my One Mic show jury. Man, is it not just a delight for everyone. Head on over there right now, patreon.com/JURY. And by The Contender, the game of presidential debate. You've heard me talk about it a million times, so why don't you go ahead and check it out yourself. The Contender game. Also on Facebook, facebook.com/The Contender Game, twitter.com/Contender Game. We're going to be in New Hampshire this weekend for the primary, so come holler at us. Let's go ahead and start the show. Right? No? Oh. One more time.
Politics, 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 politics.
All right, everybody, welcome. My name is Justin Robert Young. This is the Politics show. We've already done one gigantic Iowa recap. I already just randomly recorded 30 minutes of me giving live commentary on the Democratic debate. I think probably the best 30 minutes of the debate. For those of you who are not going to listen to it, here is my summation. Bernie's just not built for the long haul. And these are the problems that you have with his campaign, is that when he's not doing his stump speech and when he's not electrifying an audience that's already plugged into him, then really his biggest factor in this larger contest is how far left he's going to drag Hillary. Hillary, I think, for her sake, did a good job in towing the line and saying, no, you want to know what? We know he's great. We know you like him. We agree on everything that you like him for, but I'm the adult and I've done it. I think Bernie was exceptionally poor on the foreign policy thing. I think Hillary was very squirmy on the Wall Street thing. I think that as long as Bernie doesn't take the fight to her, she will continue to pick him apart. He better enjoy New Hampshire, and I don't know if that's even going to be as much of a blowout as we initially thought it was, as a lot of the polls continue to see Hillary getting closer. So, all that being said, Democratic debates are boring. We're literally just waiting for Hillary to be coronated, and like, come on. I know I've said it a million times about St. Bernard. I know that you're out there. I know that you, the listenership to the Politics podcast, are like, no, you don't understand, Dad. I love him. I know you are all in the Church of St. Bernard. I know that you sit, and as he rises to his pulpit and lectures to you upon the theology of the church of free things and fairness, that you nod solemnly as you say, if only the world could be a better place by his word. But come on, man. This isn't the place. The Politics podcast ain't no place for love. It ain't no place for sentiment. It's a place for the real, down and dirty, play the game to win it politics. And in that, you know, I don't know if he has it in him. unless there's some unforced errors there by Hillary. Now, you saw some interesting stuff. She says, as far as this email stuff goes, she is 100% certain nothing's going to embarrass her. So if something does come out and embarrass her, and it happens during the Democratic primary process, that's something that's going to be thrown right back in her face, and Bernie Sanders will be able to say, I stood up next to her and I did not attack her. I did not attack her on this email, on these damn emails. And then she lies to you, she lies to me. He can do that. But the email thing has to happen. That's stuff that's out of his control. There is my 30 seconds on, more than 30 seconds, on the Democratic debate and the state of the Democratic race going into New Hampshire. The far more interesting side of this, leading into New Hampshire, as I discussed in my Iowa recap, New Hampshire preview episode, which is also available in this feed earlier this week, is the Republican side. Because you have the resurgent Rubio, Cruz, who's effectively just going to be there nominally and get whatever bump that he's going to get because of Iowa, and the question of whether Trump is for real. Whether or not, in a state where he's leading more than he was leading in the polls in in Iowa, can he bull down a W? Can a man who ran his entire campaign on saying, I'm a winner, actually win? So I talked all about what needs to happen, the narratives that are there in the previous episode. So we don't need to go over it. Go listen to that. Here's something that I do find very delightful. And that is what happens in the general election. Right? Because there's a process, a morphing, right? An evolution as far as the left, for which I wouldn't say I'm necessarily a part of the left, but I would say that I certainly surround myself with liberal people, and I've kind of always surrounded myself with liberal people based on the places I've lived in. There's this very interesting process that I always very much enjoy, wherein somebody starts as a regular politician, and then as soon as it looks like they're going to be the nominee for the GOP, they morph into Hitler. Now, sometimes it's quicker than others. George W. Bush, Hitler overnight, insta-Hitler, right? Some of them took a little bit longer. Like, I didn't know how they were going to make Mitt Romney Hitler. Boy, did they. A dude who's a Massachusetts moderate. He got tarred and feathered for that in the Republican primary. All of a sudden, he gets to the general, and he's the quote-unquote most conservative candidate that's ever run for the office, which has to be the most laughable thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Now, I ain't blaming nobody, nor do I think that they're necessarily being disingenuous. I'm just saying that this is the rallying cry of the left against the right. For whatever reason, the right owns Hitler, by the way. Because everybody who eventually becomes the Republican nominee becomes a hard-charging, authoritarian, warmongering, hateful bigot. Now, it's not like the right doesn't have their own stereotypes of the left. Anybody who becomes the Democratic nominee becomes a weak-kneed, apology-crazy, free money-throwing pander machine. A pander bear. So, the only difference is that the left, which often many times controls the balance of power in terms of writers and press and whatnot, owns Hitler. Because for whatever you think of Hitler, and boy howdy, a lot of negative things in general, right? You wouldn't accuse him of being weak-kneed or apology machines or pander bears. So there's really not a great name that the right has for the left, the way that the left has for the right with Hitler. So now I got this new segment here. And we're going to see, it's going to depend on a few different elements. But I think we're going to see marked week-on-week change. It's a segment I like to call, Is Marco Rubio Hitler Yet? Now, this relies on a couple things. I've said before, I do think that Marco Rubio is going to win the nomination. I think that the math is in his favor, and the strong start in Iowa seems to begin to bear that out. And we're going to get into some of the polls that also seem to indicate that he's surging in New Hampshire. So this is understanding the idea that Marco Rubio will be the nominee. This is also understanding another idea, which is that Marco Rubio, in the race of three frontrunners for the Republican nomination, namely Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, and Marco Rubio, is by far the least Hitler among them. That you see far more venom from the left about Ted Cruz and about Donald Trump. Ted Cruz because he is an evangelical, and Donald Trump because he's literally a villain from the Bible. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to do this live. Let's go ahead to the main screen. We'll type right here into Google, Marco Rubio Hitler. Now, maybe I'm just going to go ahead and put Marco Rubio in quotes, and we are going to search here. Okay, so 523,000 results delivered in 0.46 seconds. So here we go. We're just going to do results based on the search query, Marco Rubio in quotes, and then Hitler next to it. So right now we have 523,000. We're going to see if Marco Rubio continues to get closer and closer to the Republican nomination, whether or not he gets closer to Hitler status. Is Marco Rubio Hitler yet? That is the new segment here on the show. I've already done about an hour and a half's worth of content, so that's pretty much all I got in terms of analysis here for the episode proper. But we do have one hell of the most popular part of this podcast. Let's go ahead and tune up the band, because I was in our rear view, ladies and gentlemen. We're out of the cornfield. We're in that stretched Hummerzine. We're heading to New England, where we're going to get down in the oldest profession, because it's time for a pole dance. This poll comes from CNN WMUR, conducted from February 2nd to February 4th, after the Iowa caucus of 209 likely voters from the state of New Hampshire. Starting at the bottom, now he's there, 2%. It is Ben Carson. He had to go home to get a fresh set of drawers because he might have had an accident. Let's go ahead and take our side stage here. They're in a double act. Ladies and gentlemen, the sultry Carly Fiorina with 4%, right next to the cherubic, the Rubenesque stylings of Chris Christie. Right in the middle. Oh no! Won't you please clap for Jeb Bush? 12%, it's Rick Ocasek. Ladies and gentlemen, the case man himself. You better get on him or he'll get on you. Let's go into our top three. 13%. He might have won Iowa, but what have you done for me lately? Slightly more foul-mouthed than the cuddly bear, it's Ted Cruz. In a resurgent second place, up 8% from his previous poll, it is Marco Rubio. Meanwhile, down 3%, it's our frontrunner. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together to the man who believes he was robbed in Iowa, and he's going to take it out of you, Granite State, because he's got the stones. Donald Big thing to realize here is, number one, in the previous poll that was taken after Iowa, which was the UMass 7 News tracking poll, Trump was up 21% on Marco Rubio. He is now up 11% on Marco Rubio. His Real Clear Politics average now down to 18.2. Here's the question that you got to ask with Trump. Are these polls for real? Are the people that are being asked these questions really going to go vote for him? Or are they saying his name because he has the most famous name? Now, there are a couple vectors to this, because his name is now getting slightly, the gap between how famous Rubio's name is and how famous Donald Trump's name is slowly closing, because Rubio is getting more and more attention. But this is interesting. We're going to see probably 2 or 3 more polls before they actually go to the voting on Tuesday. We have less than a week. It'll be curious to see. Now, 538 still has Donald Trump winning by all of their mathematical wizardry. However, Rubio's win percentage now going up to 16% based on the strength of this poll. Let's go ahead to our emails. Justin Robert Young at gmail.com. Again, put politics in the subject line, and I will go ahead and read them. We're also going to get into our poll that we do every single week. This one comes in from Commander Fish. Commander Fish writes, "Comrades, welcome. I know for many of you, this is your first venture into the electoral process. Fun, isn't it? Thrilling? I can tell you're excited. Excitement is good. It's a noble thing to be excited about the future of your country. Please allow me to offer some assistance. I come offering a unique position of being both, one, an unabashed member of the American left who's not afraid of the word socialism. I wonder where he's going to vote. And somebody who's already been chewed up and spit out working in Democratic politics. It was in 2010. Naturally, we lost. People tried to get me to work for free in 2012. Naturally, I walked. So, I'm at the point that many of you are at, but with a little bit more experience and many of the same questions. Why does the rest of the developed world have nice things while we're supposed to settle for crippling student loan debt and medical bankruptcies and other solvable issues? Why should we trust what a party says about electability when their recent history is winning the presidency? And also getting pounded in literally every other electoral contest that they ever even think about entering. These are important questions, and you should keep asking them. But let's pause for a moment to reconsider our tactics. To wit, stop whining. Imagine a sore loser in your life. Or just go ahead and look up Donald Trump's tweets from earlier this week. They might be a nice person, but you kind of resent their inability to accept a loss, don't you? That's you right now. There are questionable things that the DNC has done, but the Iowa caucus is not one of them. You have been wronged by a political process. It's just a notorious poop show. On this and many other issues, grow some skin, please. You look like children." I think he's very specifically talking about the flock of St. Bernard. 2, we're going to lose. Yup, sorry, them's the breaks. There hasn't been much polling out of South Carolina or Nevada yet, but unless something absolutely insane happens, next week in New Hampshire will be our moment of glory, our 15 minutes of fame, and this entire thing will be done and dusted mid-March. And 3, when that happens, don't go home. Don't you dare effing go home. Idealists like you are the reason things are this poopy. Politics are dirty. Politics are mean. Politics are about burying your pride and doing things you don't want to do to get results. And that kind of sucks, but it's better than the alternative. So consider this election a roll call. We're proving that there are indeed a lot of us out there. The change we want takes longer than one election cycle to cement. Get out there, get involved at your local party, and keep asking these questions. End rant. Love the show, Justin. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you very, very much, Commander Fish, and it's a pleasure to have Hillary Clinton emailing the show. Let's go ahead and get in to our poll. Of course, everybody can go ahead and vote for this week's poll at bit.ly/politics8. Again, that is bit.ly/politics8. This is our Politics 7. This was last week's. We had Bernie Sanders as our leading vote getter. No surprise there. He's led in every single week. And your second choice is, shockingly enough, Bernie Sanders. Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton was the second choice. My bad. Hillary Clinton got your vote as the second choice. Listen, Hillary Clinton very much wants this to be true. Hillary Clinton very much wants for everybody who's for Bernie right now, everybody who's in the Church of St. Bernard, to say, I don't want a Republican more than I don't like what I saw out of Hillary. So everybody go ahead and vote this week in bit.ly/politics8. Back to our emails. This one comes in from Brett. Brett writes, thought I'd write into politics ×3 with an interesting experience here in Chicago. I work as a journalist and I'm studying it as well, but I also play around the city as a musician. I'm a supporter of Bernie Sanders. Here's a shock. Someone on the internet is rooting for Bernie Sanders. Though I'll concede it's a philosophical support more than a practical one, I'm in the Bill Maher boat. I'll eat the chicken if I can't have fish. Anyway, many of the Sanders campaign coordinators here in the city are organizing a concert to raise awareness. I sent them a nice email offering to perform. They sent me quite a passive-aggressive message back, alluding that my work as a journalist, they stalked me online, I suppose, is pro-establishment by its own nature. Any journalist should be objective, they said. They believe journalists are out to spew pro-Hillary rhetoric. I told them I'm on the local music beat, not even on anything politically related. I agreed and told them I wanted to be involved in a personal musical capacity. They were very suspicious and told me I should cover it as an objective journalist if I really wanted to help, and then said my music wouldn't do them any good without hearing the record. This blew my mind. I had already told them I was a Sanders supporter. Covering it in any journalistic capacity would be, in effect, subjective. I told them that because I am a journalist, it's imperative that I offer any support as on a wholly personal level and not a professional one, and I can't be covering the event, nor did I offer to. At the end of it, they told me if I didn't Facebook post enough about Bernie and asked me to move along. They told me that I didn't Facebook enough about Bernie and asked me to move along. Weren't these supposed to be idyllic, youthful progressives down to clown with anything? If I was a journalist penning political content right now, I'd understand the hesitation. I'm not, though, and I just wanted some friendly support. So we'll go ahead and plug them. TiltingWindmillStudios.com and Jukebox Podcast, because politics loves you, even if actual politics don't. Yeah, man. I mean, Brett, what do you want? Like, these people. Like, and I don't mean Bernie Sanders supporters. I mean partisans. Partisans are there to partisan. They're not down to party. They're there to partisan. And you know, there is a lot of distrust. There's distrust with, the media, distrust with the establishment among Bernie supporters. So it doesn't shock me, although that does suck. Ken writes, in the Iowa aftermath, I'm thinking the safe money's on Cruz. I don't think people on the fence will vote Hillary unless their alternative is Trump. I was pondering how this fate might be avoided and how an independent trend tends to hose the similar leaning party candidate when I imagined a universe where both Sanders and Trump ran independently. Can you imagine? You are at the front lines of creating the best podcast of all time. Do you think a two-party status quo could ever recover? If both Trump and Sanders ran independent, they'd get swallowed. I understand that Trump's making a lot of noise now, but he would be absolutely pilloried by the right. Sanders would lose a ton of support by attacking Hillary unless things got intensely personal, or Hillary seemed to be very, very damaged and then was doggedly hanging on to the Democratic nomination. Like, let's say Hillary Clinton in her email is just something terrible, right? And she has been Nixonian in her denials about it, and now it looks even worse. Then I could see Bernie running. I could see Trump running out of ego. But I'm still holding on to the fact that I think, listen, Trump said he ain't going to run independent. Trump is going to endorse wholeheartedly and full-throatedly the Republican nominee, although maybe not Cruz. I think he would nominate, he would give his support to Rubio. And then he is going to either take credit for the presidency or he is going to blame that person until the end of time. Jose writes in, watching the caucus results rolling in on the news, looks like your guy Rubio is rallying and making the comeback. Thank you, Jose, for writing in with that. And then Mike wrote in with some amazing, just a bunch of really, really, really rad stuff. Here, let's go ahead and see if we can play one of these here right now. This might be the most non-controversial thing that Donald Trump has ever said. So if anybody's out there saying, I have never agreed with anything that Donald Trump has said in his life, well then let's go ahead and watch this. And I will be good gosh darned if you do not come out of this saying, you want to know what? Maybe that Trump had a little something right after all.
We're going to lose that. $505 billion. And by the way, I don't like this mic. Whoever the hell brought this mic system.
Oh wait, hold on, wait a minute. This is the wrong one. This is him freaking out about some poor person who brought a crappy mic to the rally. This here is, I think, what we are all going to agree with. Here we go. This is Donald Trump riffing on something I think we can all agree about.
In New York City, and I want to put a little spray so that I can. Right? But I hear where they don't want me to use hairspray. They want me to use the pump. Because the other one, which I really like better than going bing, 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 and then it comes out in big globs, right? And you're stuck in your hair and you say, oh my God, I got to take a shower again. My hair's all screwed up. Right? I want to use hairspray. They say, don't use hairspray. It's bad for the ozone. So I'm sitting in this concealed apartment, this concealed unit. You know, I really do live in a very nice apartment, right? But it's sealed. It's beautiful. I don't think anything gets out. And I'm not supposed to be using hairspray. But think of it. So Obama's always talking about the global warming. That global warming is our biggest and most dangerous problem, okay?
So we don't have to go any further. But I think that we all know that the spray hairspray is just better than the squeeze hairspray, right? That's not a controversial thing. I think if there's one thing, again, I want to challenge your minds, ladies and gentlemen. And sometimes that means agreeing that Donald Trump is right. That the pump hairspray is worse than the spray hairspray. I think that's, yeah, Chimera says it's a 30-year-old complaint. And it doesn't ring any less true than it did 30 years ago. All right. We're going to go ahead and play one last thing. I asked for people who are evangelical voters to write into the show. We got something better. This is Jordan, who gave us a little recording of him explaining where he is coming from as an evangelical listener to this show. So let's go ahead and listen.
Hey, Justin, Jordan from Ohio here. So I am an evangelical voter. I'm going to Summit University, formerly Baptist Bible College of Pennsylvania, with the intent to get my graduate degree in marriage and family therapy at the Liberty University. Not because I see eye to eye with Liberty and everything, but because they're kind of like the Harvard of Christian colleges. You get a degree from there, any church in their right mind would hire you. It's all about, being open. Anyways, so the whole Trump phenomenon, I've had a lot of heated discussions with family members that are most likely going to vote for Trump. And they always say that they're going to vote the Republican Party regardless. So the way they see it is a vote for Trump is a vote not for Hillary or a vote not for Bernie. It's not so much for them about proving a point to the Republican Party, because they know that, proving a point might cost 4, 8 years, whatever, of really difficult times in the United States, at least politically. Though I do have hope that if Trump were to get in, he'd surround himself with people that aren't total morons like himself, and Congress would just shut down any stupid idea that he might have. But it's not so much about proving a point, it's about voting not for Hillary Clinton, which is a really sad place to be, that we have to vote for one candidate in order for us to say, well, at least we didn't vote for her. I'm really on the fence. I don't know who I want to vote for. I like the idea of Bernie Sanders, but I don't think I like Bernie Sanders himself. And I think Rubio's okay. Cruz is kind of weird. So, that's how I kind of feel. I just kind of feel jaded in the whole political system with the Republican Party. I voted for Romney. I went door-to-door for Romney last election cycle, but Trump is not hitting those same things for me. So I don't know if that rambling answered your question, but for this evangelical voter, it's not about proving a point. It's about having the most qualified person in. And for my family, apparently, it's all about just making sure you stick to the ticket. Thanks. Love the show.
Well, there we go. I mean, I don't think a whole lot of real gigantic surprises there. We had another person write in from the evangelical perspective saying that the biggest thing with Donald Trump was the political correctness issue, which I think is really the code of this election cycle. And I don't want to say code as anything that I think is, to denigrate it, right? I think it's just, it's become something that is a word that means more than just the words, right? Political correctness is something that is a bit of a Rorschach. People see what they want in the term political correctness, and it's something that does, obviously it's more of an issue on the right than the left, but I think it does have some crossover independent appeal. I think that there are independent people to say that we are too politically correct. Anyway, go ahead and email the show, justinrobertyoung@gmail.com. Put politics in the subject line. Again, we have not one, not two, but this is the third edition of Politics that is available in the feed. If you would like to support us, go ahead on over to patreon.com/JURY. Kick us a few dollars. It is the money that you have given that allows me to go to New Hampshire, man. I am off on my way to the Granite State tomorrow. That's why this edition of the podcast is early as opposed to its normal recording time on Friday. If you are in New England and you can make your way to Manchester, then go ahead and do so. We'll be at the We the People convention, me and John Teasdale, my co-creator of The Contender, and then we're going to have a little event, even if it's just a meetup on Saturday night. So, with that being said, we want to go ahead and thank Trop Killers for our pole dance theme. We want to thank everybody who emailed in. Again, that email address, justinrobertyoung@gmail.com. Politics in the subject line. We will see you after New Hampshire. One more step forward. Remember, shows that talk about politics. Some talk about politics. Others talk about politics. But this one talks about politics. See you in New Hampshire.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.